Well, I've been a marijuana grower back in the day, in the early 70s, mostly in my basement under just grow lights that were, fluorescent lights, not the fancy ones they have now. And I did pretty good at it, and I had bought a book called Marijuana Botany, which I used as my guide because there was no grow guide for marijuana in those days. But seeing as it's a weed, it's not particularly hard to grow. And so when I came out here and found out that New Mexico was legalizing medical marijuana, I was curious about it. I was interested in it because there's part of a national movement that's happening. And so I knew a grower who's older than I am, if you can believe that. And he was licensed, and I tracked his first year of growing anything. It was his first plant he'd ever grown. Never grown house plants or garden or anything like that. And he managed to do a pretty good job in his first year. I sort of helped him out a little bit, and then we tracked his successes, his failures, his triumphs, his disappointments, the whole thing. Now there's 20 states now in the District of Columbia that have some form of medical marijuana. 2 states where recreational marijuana is legal, that's Washington and Colorado, which of course is our northern neighbor. In addition to states making money off of medical marijuana, they're making money off of recreational marijuana because they've legalized it, but they want to control it. So here's what happened in the state of Washington. Originally, there were state liquor stores, but they privatized the liquor industry, some say through pressure from Costco, which is based in Washington. And so all these state liquor stores were sitting vacant. And then they legalized marijuana. So what do you suppose is going to go into those vacant stores? You're right, it's medical marijuana stores, or just marijuana stores in general. But of course, they're all going to be taxed and regulated, and the state is expecting to make tens of millions of dollars to start with this. And I think that, this is my opinion, I think that once other states see the kind of money that's being generated from marijuana when it's either legal or legalized for medical use, is going to persuade these states to legalize it in some form or another. The reason that the governments are going to get involved more and more and more is because they can make money on it by taxing it at a certain particular rate, but they have to be careful that the taxation doesn't put the marijuana into a price range that somebody's going to buy it on the street instead of buying it from a dispensary. Of course, alcohol is so well regulated that you don't really have the opportunity. Should I buy my beer from Walgreens, or Fred is a home brewer down the street, should I buy it from him? That doesn't happen all that much, in my opinion. But I think the states are smart. They have to fill holes in their revenue. We have to educate our children. The money in bad years is just not there. So they have to have some other substance to bring in the money. If it's not alcohol and cigarettes, they got to have marijuana. And yes, there are organized groups who oppose legalization of marijuana, but you can't find very many of them. And more importantly, though, is the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, NORML, failed miserably in its attempts to legalize recreational marijuana, but then seized upon medical marijuana and have had enormous success with that, thinking that that is the, just like they say, you smoke a little bit of marijuana and next you're on to heroin. Well, in this case, you smoke a little bit of marijuana that's legal medical marijuana and you're on to full legalization. Sort of a stepping stone. And the ones that have legalized it already had legal medical marijuana, so it's just a development kind of thing. As people get more accustomed, it's not so shocking and all that. The next state to legalize marijuana could possibly be New York. That is my opinion. And the northern, more liberal states and the western states in particular are going to be the states most likely to legalize marijuana at this point in time. I'm not sure any states will legalize marijuana if they happen to be south of the Mason-Dixon line. Those are basically Republican-dominated conservative states, and I think it'd be unlikely for them to legalize it anytime in the near future, with the possible exception of Texas. There's a liberal element in Texas, mostly based in Austin and Dallas, that it's growing fast. And it may not be all conservatives in Texas, isn't now. And that could change. And especially when they start seeing the amount of money that can be made doing this, it's very tempting for state legislatures. The marijuana cat is out of the bag, folks, and the federal government is not going to be able to stuff it back in that bag, because now Think what would happen if there are marijuana stores in Washington, bringing in Washington a lot of tax income, and all of a sudden the federal government tries to shut them down. It would be a states' rights issue that you would not believe what's going to happen here. The feds aren't going to go there, I don't think. I don't think they can. I just don't see how they could possibly take on 20 states. I mean, we'd have another civil war, something like that. It wouldn't be about slavery. It'd be about freedom to smoke marijuana.